everybody, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me, as always, is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
Well, folks, a bit of the dark side has ventured into our republic here lately. We are not going to go deep into this because, might not even be our conversation to have, but, a lot has come to light about, brutality, racism, just bad stuff happening to all of our friends in the African American Black community, and it's tough because we can't always relate to that. We really can't relate to it, but we do want to share.
We can sympathize,
exactly, and we want to share that we are listening. We are supporting you guys as you the protests are going on, and we just want you to know that we're here for you, and
we care.
Exactly, that we care. So, I guess that's about it. All I should say on that matter, I suppose, for now. But I figured today, we'd try and have a little bit of fun because there's always room in life for a little bit of fun. And our fun is talking about the greatest movie of all time.
Yes, the movie that has an ape constructing a helmet. Second time now I've seen that scene today. I don't know why. I have it playing in the background just as a refresher because I didn't get to watch it this week.
Nice.
It's probably been like 3 weeks since I've watched it, maybe a month. So.
Well, I'm glad you love watching Forrest Gump so much. I don't remember the...
I do too. It's the director's.
Oh no, wait, it's Gladiator? No, not Gladiator. Tombstone, right?
Oh. It's
The Good,
Big
the Bad,
Trouble
and the
in
Ugly.
Little Chinatown.
Oh.
It's Big Trouble in Little Chinatown.
Got it.
Jeez.
Now we're gonna talk a little bit about Rise of Skywalker. We figured there's been enough time from obviously its theatrical release and the release of the Blu-ray, DVD, and its release on Disney Plus. So
that we have no comments on because neither of us have watched any of the deleted scenes. That's fine. Just waiting on the director's cut.
Well, and that's something that a lot of people have talked about. It would be really nice to have an actual director's cut of this because, well, we'll get into it a little bit more, but that's definitely something people have been calling for, I think, and I am too. Yeah. I'm all for it. I kind of like to see the director's vision in full, not the studio version, which is normally what we get. And, hey, still waiting on that Last Jedi director's cut too, because there's stuff in there that was shot and in the deleted scenes. It just should have been in the movie. So,
yeah.
So anyway, let's just go ahead and get started with how was your week?
Oh, it's been pretty good. It's gone by quickly. Nice and hot. Mm-hmm. Melting away out there.
Yep.
Nothing too big going on. Low card issues, but
yep, speeder broke down.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm thankful enough that my work lent me the work truck to use for the entire weekends. So
awesome.
It's great. I just tried to, put a little duct tape over the logo so when I go to drive-thrus and all that stuff. Oh, that marina's buying beer.
Man, that's right. Yeah, things have been opening up more. I know you've been busy at work. We're starting to see, restaurants opening back up. I think, eventually we're going to be getting a lot of other things. I think the NBA is releasing a plan. The Cavs are not going to be a part of it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
MLB's still in a lockdown, but they just need to get something together. We'll see what the NFL does.
Ohio State might be affected too.
Yeah, the college landscape is definitely a tricky one. I don't know how they're going to navigate that because honestly, this is the thing. No, we're not a sports show. I probably shouldn't get too far into that. All I'm going to say is...
Are you trying to say that our demographic doesn't like sports?
No, not that. It's one of those takes that some people like, some people don't, but we're going to see the greed. Because obviously colleges are supposed to be first and foremost about education, but man, those sports programs do bring in a lot of money. So, and again, you can disagree, but I think that if the schools are really concerned about the safety of their students, there would not be college sports this year.
I think we'll see pay-per-view, honestly, without a stadium full of people. That's what I expect.
We'll see. We will see. Because, I mean, the shoe packs them in.
Well, if you factor in how much they make per game, that's just a ridiculous amount of revenue lost.
I know.
And they're still paying all those students way through college, so that's not cheap either.
Yes. So. Yes, that's right. Through college. Right. Taking classes. I'm winking.
Right. And of course
student
they have
athletes.
Their wages. Oh wait, no, they don't get paid. I forgot that.
Don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. Yeah. So I don't know. I think sports are a great release for a lot of people. And I know that there are a ton of folks that are really itching to see something come back. And I'm looking forward to as well. I want to see baseball. I was kind of looking forward to this season. Football obviously, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. But what other news? I bought a lightsaber. I bought one of those.
More toys. Always fun.
Toy.
You got a Ray lightsaber. It's awesome.
I did not get a Ray lightsaber. I got this guy online, an eBay thing. He had modified a 2015 Luke FX lightsaber. So just made the blade detachable, and I think he put a better LED in it, and just a couple little touches and stuff. Made a plug so you could take the blade out and just put a plug in there. So it's pretty neat. I don't collect much. I'm not the collector. I've got 3 things. I've got my old X-Wing model toy that I had when I was a kid, and my Jaina Solo Black Series figure, and then this saber. Buddy Mike, who runs Flying Casual podcast they also do video on YouTube for it, I believe still. He's the collector, man. When we went to Celebration, that was his big thing, and getting to the toy panel, getting the Black Series figures. Guy's got a ton of stuff. I don't know. I think he actually posted something today about getting I think it might have been Black Series 2, but the Viper droid.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he's got all the stuff. I was never big into collecting, but some of that is pretty cool. So
yeah, I can appreciate other people's collections from afar, like a YouTube tour or something. But I could never bring myself to spend thousands of dollars on a display.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love to, but I just can't do it. Can't part with money.
Well, I'm totally with you. I've got other things I spend my money on, and it's not collectibles. So,
just another dust collector more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So.
For sure. Well, anyway, not much in the way of Star Wars news. There has been a couple of inklings of a potential live-action Thrawn, potential, live-action Ezra, maybe some sort of live-action, thing, which, I guess would take the place of a final season of Rebels, which I'm not cool with, but hey, whatever. There's where you
really
get
good.
Well, there's where you get live action Ahsoka. Then we can stop worrying about Mandalorian. I don't know, man.
Live action Maul. Got to have more live action Maul.
But do we have to have more?
Honestly, I would be more okay with, which realistically you can't unless you go back in time with Rebels, because spoiler alert.
Well, yeah,
But,
he's done at that point.
Yeah. Oh, you never know. He could come back again. Just
that would
all
be
just
right.
just all droid at this point. He's the new Grievous.
That would not be right. I would not enjoy that. That would not have. No,
That'd be pretty bad.
Yeah, it'd be bad. So yeah, not a ton right now. Queen's Peril just came out. I'm about finished with the audiobook. I just got my physical copy today. So we'll probably have a discussion.
How's the reading? Did they do a good job with the reading itself? Is that the same person who did the last one?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm sorry, I forget her name, but it was the voice actress of Padme. She did Padme in Clone Wars.
She did an excellent job.
She
on
did.
The last book.
Yes, she definitely did a great job. So yes, and this is kind of the time, sort of before. Gosh, how much should I don't really want to spoil anything. But it's Queen's Peril, and I think it's been sort of widely reported. So without trying to spoil too much, it's, your pre-Phantom Menace, type of timeline.
Basically, this is the Phantom Menace version of how Clone Wars drops you right into Revenge of the Sith.
Well, let's just put it this way. It's while she's queen. So when was that? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, Queen's Shadow was a huge book for me, one of my favorites, and we'll talk about this one once the Darth is able to get through it. Not a really long one either, audiobook that is. So we'll talk.
The first one wasn't either. I think it was only about 6-7 hours.
Yeah, I think they're
Very
about
short.
about the same length. They're not super long books, so it shouldn't take you terribly long. But it just all depends on time, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, obviously we'll talk about anything else once it comes up. But let's jump into our sort of retrospective of the Rise of Skywalker, the greatest movie to ever be filmed, ever.
I'm still salty about Snap.
God, I'm so
just now
salty
reminded
about
of that.
Snap. Oh, dude. We got invested in him again because of
I know.
Resistance Reborn.
The books made it. Why?
Well,
that's really the first time that Star Wars has done that. Truthfully,
with putting him in a focal point for sure. But now, my immediate thought was well, crap. Now somebody's got to tell Wedge and Nora that their son's dead and his wife.
Yeah.
Heck, maybe his wife's dead too, and we didn't even see that.
Yeah, we don't know.
Gosh.
Well,
JJ.
Wedge is just in the Falcon having fun, and by the way, your son's dead. He just got blown up.
That's kind of the worst part, though, because so they do show Wedge for a minute. He's like, "Nice flying, Lando," and it's like, "Hey, so your step kid."
Don't tell him. Don't tell him right now.
Yeah, don't. Just keep firing. Just keep firing, Wedge. It's all gonna be okay.
We need our gunner. Don't tell him.
Man, oh man, Snap, poor Snap. And obviously, a big part of the Chuck Wendig Aftermath series and Resistance Reborn and everything. And it was cool to see him in there. It's like, oh, sweet, he's going to be here. And then, okay.
I guess for me, I just wish he could have sacrificed himself instead of just being a random death,
Yeah. So I guess let's go ahead and get some second impressions. So just without running through a ton of detail, what did you think just in general from this rewatch? From getting it down again, not in theater, just a couple months down the line.
Honestly, the feeling for me is still the same. This kind of brings out the inner child in me. I still am mysticized by watching it. Still love it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't complain at all about it.
Okay.
Same with Same with Force Awakens. Also, when that first came out, that's what got me back into Star Wars.
Yeah.
To an extent. So, yeah, I appreciate these movies quite a bit, and I think it was a great, last hurrah for Star Wars fans. Not really last hurrah, but at least for this storyline.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to need you to talk for another 15 seconds so we can collect the Disney check. Just keep going.
Yeah, and I gotta say, the Disney Plus version is just spot on. It is just perfect. I mean, honestly, my TV is not 8K, but I feel like it is just from the quality.
You know what? I'm actually, before I give my reaction, I wanted to say something because I think we both talked about this at one point. Disney Plus app needs a little work.
It does.
And like,
need a lot of work.
I'm not trying to be overly critical, but I find that app is so freezy at times. So I've had to reload it a couple of times just to get, because like I'll hit like the Star Wars icon and nothing will load in there, and then I go back out and I come back in, and some of the sorting is not very, and it sorts differently on mobile, on TV, on the computer. It's all different sorting. Like, what's up with that? Yeah. Even like going back to your previous episode can be kind of troubling.
Let me tell you something. The resume function is god awful.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just because we share, but honestly, I can't stand it. It's a pain to find what I was watching.
Mm-hmm.
And I also find this glitch, and I don't know if everyone deals with it, but let's say, okay, I want to go to Clone Wars, and I accidentally hit resume. Then going back to try and find that season to skip to the next episode or the one previous, honestly, you just end up having to reload the app. It's terrible.
I know. It is kind of crazy. And like, again, not trying to be super complainy, but it could definitely use a little bit of work. But I did watch Rise on the app today, kind of before everything, just so it'd be fresh in my mind again. But yeah, it could use a little bit of work. So that's all. I don't want to dig on it too much, but I just could use some work. So I got to tell you, man, a lot like you, I still really enjoy the movie, but there are moments in there that I remember now. It's like, dang, these are just such emotional moments. I'm not a crier, so I'm not going to sit here and like try and lie to you like I'm crying about it, but I definitely felt like I felt certain things during scenes, like especially like with Leia's death, and then when Chewie learns of it.
That's gut-wrenching.
And it literally is.
I mean, that's how we all reacted, I feel like, though, truthfully. And that's knowing that it had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine if Carrie Fisher hadn't died and she still died in a movie, and how we would have reacted.
Yeah, I know.
No, I mean, it's just like with Han.
Yeah.
All over again.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, probably the most emotional scene for me in this movie is with Han.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably my favorite scene in the movie, truthfully.
Yes.
The way they did that was perfect.
Ben's LSD vision, right, yeah. You're not here, you're a memory. Yeah. But no, I did. There were just moments that were just very emotional. And, you kind of realize that this is the end of the line for at least the Skywalker saga. And, some of those things are difficult to think about. But it is. It's a fun ride. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it here. My only critical thing is the first half of the movie just goes by too quick. Just too quick. It
is rushed. Certainly is.
Well, it's like you're just constantly trying to push and push and push and push. Here's this, here's that, here's this, here's that. And then, you kind of get to the climax and you're like, oh, well, geez, I feel like I feel like I've watched a 4-hour movie because I'm trying to be so observant and it would have just been better to have made it a 4-hour movie.
Yeah. I think one of the story arcs that's probably the most rushed and kind of just glanced over was probably The Spy.
Oh,
You know, how they did Hux was a little rough for me. I feel like they needed another scene or two for that. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Hux. Yeah, I see what you mean. I do see what you mean. But there again, like, you know, let's say Agent Callus for Rebels. His whole turn was done over a period of time. Hux was like, I'm the spy. You're the spy? What? I knew it. No, you didn't. Shoot me in the arm. Oh, he shot me in the leg. And then he just gets executed by Pride.
Yeah.
So it's like bing, bam, boom. Obviously, we know Kylo hates him, so he's not going to like be buddies. But yeah, I'm with you there. It's like, okay, so did he fulcrum things? I mean, what? He just used that one alien? I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a lot to go through with this. Again, I mean, I don't want to use it as an excuse, but JJ did have to clean up some messes created by The Last Jedi. And I do feel like he did a good job with them.
I want to be careful about the word mess, but I mean, I understand that. But at the same token, just for me, the vision was not succinct. You can clearly tell that the two of them had very different visions. And yes, you could obviously relate that to being a mess, but I don't know. I mean, there's still a lot in Last Jedi that I really like and that could have been built off of better. But it's, you know, at least we didn't get that Colin Trevorrow script. I mean, because come on, guys, let's not act like that was good. Hot take.
But no, honestly, this movie does feel just as good every time I've watched it. I've never had a second I was bored. There's always still those shock moments with it, you know. And there's a lot of nostalgia. Honestly, I think they did very well with the fan service, bringing back some old characters. Even expanding into the book, they really did try their best. They even brought back Wicked, whatnot.
Yeah, Ewoks at the end, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like they really, for telling a new story, they really kept in mind the old generation, you know. And even going past us, the people who grew up with the original Star Wars, I feel like there is something in there for everybody. So.
Do you think that there was too much fan service, though? Because I think that was a complaint of some people, right?
It was. It certainly was. Honestly, I think you're going to find that that's a balancing act that Disney never could have pulled off, because you're going to have some people say you've gone completely away from your roots. You're going to have others saying, well, you're not focusing on the story. You're just pandering to old fans. So I don't necessarily think there was too much fan service. But I do like my fan service, so maybe I'm not the best person to decide on that. I appreciated everything. I don't remember any moments where I thought, did they really have to do that? Did they have to take time to introduce this character or make that reference or anything like that? No, I thought it was well balanced, personally.
Okay, sure. Walk me through what you thought of the whole Leia thing. What were your thoughts on the usage of the old footage for Princess Leia?
There were times that it was a bit awkward. I thought, for the most part, they did a good job. You know, for CGI especially. I think it was pretty good. Very emotional, obviously, and you can tell that they built a lot of dialogue around it.
Oh yeah,
which does obviously, you know, affect what you can actually do with it. I'm sure it's not what they wanted, necessarily, but thank goodness they had foresight to take a little time to record more than what they planned on using.
Well, you never underestimate a droid.
Yeah, very true. No, I thought it was very good. Her death was sad but beautiful in a way, honestly. The interactions with Rey were very genuine, I thought. My biggest worry going into this movie, there would just be some awkward scenes where she'd be standing off in the distance and she'd smile and nod, or say a few words and that'd be it. Have the rest of the characters kind of fill in the blanks, but no, I think it was well done, and I think it was very respectful for the family and to her as well. I think she would have appreciated it. So,
yeah. I mean, I think it was handled as good as it possibly could have, but. I think that her sacrifice to reach Ben was very, very powerful. Even the end scene where you kind of have R2 looking over her. R2 was literally there at her birth, and I'll be there when you die too. Beep boop boop beep boop.
Imagine he was just kind of outside the room that got blew up when she was catapulted into space too. Like, yes, full circle. I am here. Oh crap, she's back.
Darth R2 D2.
There from the beginning.
What do you think the D in D2 stood for? Darth. And C-3PO was his apprentice.
Oh my god. No. Dio is his apprentice.
His new apprentice. It's the rule of two. Now Dio has to destroy C-3PO.
No. C-3PO was the master. R2 has to kill him.
Okay.
Wipe his memory one last time.
Yeah, so I did like what we had with Leia. I kind of even like the master Leia type of deal as well. I loved the little flashback scene with her and Luke. I know that there are people that didn't particularly like that because they like the idea of her not being a Jedi and not necessarily using her Force abilities, but despite old canon, like EU now being kind of old non-canon, there was a lot of stuff with her training. So it's not without precedent. And to see
this
her...
isn't a new idea.
Mm-hmm. And to see her wield a lightsaber and, have had a Force vision kind of foreseeing a little bit of the future. I thought it was great, personally. I thought it was
honestly,
really cool.
I felt like it was kind of needed, especially with the route they took with Last Jedi, deciding that she had Force abilities.
Yeah.
You kind of expect to see something with training. And honestly, I kind of like how they showed her beating Luke in a duel, because in the original timeline, she was an extremely powerful Jedi. Mm-hmm. Maybe not one of the most powerful, but she could hold her own. She had the same gifts that Luke got from good old Papa Vader. So
right.
I really appreciated that scene, and kind of makes me wish that they could have done more. And that is me being too much of a fanboy, honestly.
No, I know, but I mean, it completes her training. She was able to, excel and in this duel beat her master and so forth. So at that point, she's no longer the student, effectively. She's now ready for her own path, which she did take without the Force, or being a quote Jedi. So yeah,
awesome lightsaber, by the way. She has a great lightsaber.
Yeah, her lightsaber is really cool, and that is coming out. A lot of the saber manufacturers, Ultra Sabers, I think had one, or was coming out with one replica of it. So yeah, it looks uncomfortable as hell, though.
Yes.
It doesn't look comfortable, but it does look really cool. It's a really neat kind of almost sort of flashy Old Republic kind of lightsaber.
Yeah. Kind of would be cool to, not that, again, we already talked about not that much of a collectible person, but to get both hers and Luke's and get the same type of cloth that she ends up burying them in and have that as a bit of a display. I think that'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see what else. How about new characters? So we had Dominic Monaghan playing somebody, I don't remember his name in the actual movie because it wasn't really important. We had Jaina, the ex First Order trooper.
Or First Order, sorry.
And
Zori.
Yep, Zori Bliss, Babu Frick. C-3PO's oldest friend, by the way.
Yes.
Dio. Who else was major consequence new? Claude, the ship fixing alien.
Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. We really didn't see any of the guy who kills Hux. I believe
General
he was in
Pride.
some books. Yeah, I believe he was in the books, but I don't think he had any parts in the other movies. So have him.
Yeah, I mean, Pride was an interesting newbie as well. So out of all those, who was your favorite? Who was your favorite addition?
Honestly, it might sound a little weird, but I liked Zori quite a bit. Thought she was pretty interesting, and I'd like to see a little bit more of the background between her and the old crew.
It'll be called Poe Dameron, Spice Runner, Runner of Spice.
Yes. And I don't know why, but I thought that awkward little scene when they're all back in base, and he does that little nod to her, and she just shakes her head. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Yeah. So I was actually kind of going to mention her too. I did enjoy her for some reason. Like, this could be cool. Like, this could be a comic. This could be a book or potentially even a standalone short series on like Disney Plus where, you go back in time and see Poe as a smuggler and the crew, and maybe Zori takes off that mask that we don't know if she needs it or something. What if she just had like a really like messed up mouth? Like an alien mouth, from Alien.
Or she's just green.
Or, just like a...
Do you think her head is shaped like the mask?
That would be interesting.
That would be a new species, I think.
No,
Certainly can't think of anything like that in the Star Wars universe.
It's like, Poe's not going to get any kissing going if she doesn't take that thing off, give her all the looks you want, Poe, but if you want to smooch, man, you gotta get that mask off, all right?
Actually, ironically enough, I'm on the scene where they're talking, and she does. She has a little visor that she opens up.
Right,
so she is human.
No, yeah, we do see her
totally forgot about that, actually.
Yep. Yeah, we see her eyes, but no, I am interested in her.
The rest of her could still be blue. She could be mixed breed.
Maybe. So I don't know. I would like to see more of that. I think Babu Frick was kind of funny.
Yeah, I feel like we could get a little children's comic with him.
Maybe. Let's see. The rest are okay. We already said it, but like, who's actually our favorite edition? Snap Wexley. Okay, Snap.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't get much of him either, honestly.
No, and we were just so invested because of the books, and
not necessarily the guy I would have imagined Snap to be either.
No, not who I had in my mind either. But it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah, just a little goofier than in the books, I feel like, but not in a bad way.
I did like his humor. With Leia, it's like,
this is
fine.
Great. This is a great plan.
It's great. It's plan. Awesome. We're all good. We're totally gonna live through this. I would, honestly, That would have been a part for Jon Favreau. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is wasted potential.
You could have
That would be great.
You could have just put Favreau in that role. Honestly, honest to goodness,
He'd be so bubbly.
Yeah,
through the whole thing.
I think it'd have been great.
Yeah.
We got the return of Lando. So, what do you think of Lando's return? Because I think that's been a little mixed for some people.
I personally liked it. I mean, Billy D hasn't lost his touch at all. I thought, it's just like young Lando. Not much difference other than a couple more pounds and, a little bit of wrinklage.
Yeah. We talked, I remember talking about this when we were recapping Celebration all that time ago, because he was there for the panel, and it seemed like age was kind of catching up to him a little bit. And honestly, maybe he was just tired. Honestly, he's probably just tired. But Billy D's always been just such a suave dude. Like he's kind of like the original Mr. Steal Your Girl. All right. Like he's the dude, like he walks in the room, you got to worry about that SOB. But, Lando is always such a charismatic character, and I was happy to see him. Is it convenient that he's just still on that, on that planet, just enjoying the celebration, just happens to be there for Rey to, give her information about the Wayfinder? Maybe a little convenient. But I was glad to see him back because he's awesome. All right. He's an awesome character.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, after watching that, no disrespect to Glover at all, but there really isn't anyone who can replace him as Lando. There's something about him that he was born for that role, truthfully.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like Donald Glover as Lando.
Yes, I
liked his
interpretation.
interpretation.
Does do a great job.
But I'll tell you, if there's one thing that I notice, it's unique voices. Billy D has a very unique voice and inflection. It's the same as James Earl Jones. There are just certain voices that you spot. Tommy Lee Jones is one of them. Morgan Freeman. You just spot those voices, and it's like, that's it. And there's something in a voice. Donald Glover, has his own voice and inflection, but it's not Billy D. Williams, because in a lot of ways, Billy D. Williams is Lando Calrissian. Okay, and Lando Calrissian is Billy D. Williams. So
they are one
at least
the same.
from our viewpoint.
Yeah, it's the same with Harrison Ford. Truthfully,
oh yeah,
he couldn't really imagine. Again, no disrespect to Solo. I think it was very well done, but
Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah, but you just can't replace it. Can't.
Yeah, and there were times
it was great to see him back, and I think we got just the right amount of Lando as well.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't too much pandering, but he was there for a reason. He wasn't just there to make a little more money.
Yeah,
really, he felt like he had an important role to play.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there.
And I think one of my favorite lines in the movie was when he was asked, "How did you guys do it?" It's just three kids that, three friends who hung on to each other and we made it work.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think that, it was definitely a good message for sure. Let's see. What else can we talk about? Luke Force Ghost.
The hand coming out of the fire to catch his lightsaber.
Should have more respect,
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah,
Ryan.
That was a great line. Ironic in a way, but very, very good line.
I
like.
Go ahead.
I enjoyed quite a bit of the dialogue with Luke.
Yeah.
The little callback to Dagobah with the X-Wing was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Playing the exact same music, very, very nice.
Yeah.
The Poe Force Dodge is playing right now.
Yeah, running down a corridor. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So everybody's Force sensitive. So
Yes.
if there's one thing that I said when we were watching Last Jedi is that I felt like Luke, the character there, had much more Mark Hamill in him than Luke Skywalker. And you get in this movie and it feels much more like Luke Skywalker and less like Mark
Yes.
Hamill. I love Mark Hamill as a human being, but he created a character of Luke Skywalker, right? And I think that is in contrast to Mark Hamill at times. Because, I mean, heck, even Mark Hamill wanted Luke to go dark side,
Yeah.
which is not Luke. It's just not.
No. Out of every Star Wars character you see go through that phase of considering the dark side, Luke isn't one of them. He is a pure embodiment of the light.
Yeah. So, but no, I did like him coming back and you know, having the respect for the saber at that point and really pointing Rey in the right direction. Because at this point, Rey's just like, I'm done. I'm gonna stay on Octo, and I'm just gonna play with the fish people. And, you know, I'm just going to do what you did because you were right. You know, I can't do anything. It's bad. We're all bad. I'm a Palpatine now. What am I going to do? But Luke points her back on the right path and, you know, does what, you know, a master should do. You know, it's the Jedi's destiny to combat fear, to face conflict. So...
And admit when he was wrong.
Exactly. So, and again, it was one of the deleted scenes in The Last Jedi that they really needed to put in because it was in the book, where Luke actually was going to go with Rey, and he was excited about it, and he was and that's when he encountered her and Kylo doing their little dyad thing, and then that's when he turned to change his mind. But before, I really thought that should have been shown because it's like there's still Luke in there. He's not the PO'd hermit at all times, but you know, he had it's like, yes, I'm ready to go, and like, oh crap, okay, kids, you ruined it. You spit up on the carpet.
This is why I'm here. This is why I'm here.
I leave you alone in the house for one night, and you throw a party with a boy.
I leave you alone for 5 minutes, and you start a dyad. Are you kidding me?
You know, when I was your age, I just took Uncle Owen's speeder to Taji Station. I didn't start dyads with people.
Back in my day, there weren't even dyads. I mean, what even is a dyad? Come on.
It's good.
It is kind of funny how this movie handles the whole dyad thing, acting like people should just know exactly what that is and be super excited about it.
Well,
I mean, kind of a new reveal.
There's a lot of things though too, because even like, you know, the snake, you know, when she sort of, you know, calms Snake down, communicates with it a little bit, that's not really in the movies. Now it's in the lore, and it's in, you know, Rebels as a big part of like Ezra's one of his Force talents, the Beast Master. But that really wasn't in the movies.
I believe in what's the name of the character that has the dual phase lightsaber, one that extends?
Oh, Corran Horn?
Corran, I believe he
EU?
Yeah. I believe he was a Beastmaster as well. So I mean, it's been a thing. But
I mean, it's totally been a thing. It just hasn't been in the movies. And
remember, his son could communicate with ants.
Right, exactly.
Oh no, the phone! It is dying. Stand by, charging.
Oh wow, wow, right. In an episode, man.
No, I have 5%. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay.
We'll get through it.
Yeah, it's like when your tank hits E. Oh, I've got 20 more miles or something like that.
I know my car.
Yeah, right.
I know my phone, and I'm not going to make it if I don't go in charge. This is fine. I just need to stand now. I need a longer cord.
Good. Yeah, you need a longer cord. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, yeah. What about that whole Emperor Palpatine thing? Remember that guy?
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that later when we get to Harrison Duel, I think.
I think it could have been done differently. I really do. I don't know that I don't know that Palpatine had to be brought back, but I'll say one thing. They did they didn't do as good an explanation in the beginning because it's like it's just in the crawl. Oh, he's back. We'll elaborate on it later, just not in this movie. And then
nor in the book.
Yeah. Well, and then Kylo, I'm going to go find him and blah, blah, blah. So, do I hate that he came back? No. But could we have went a different direction? Maybe. But even then, you could have still had Palpatine, but what if, just think about this. What if, this is my whole, I'm still kind of like, Kylo could have just been the bad guy. What if Kylo strikes down the Emperor in the first scene and he says, I'm not joining you. And then the Emperor's essence goes into him. So he's got a new young body. It's the embodiment of the Emperor. And the whole movie is Rey effectively trying to save Kylo from the Emperor's, essence in his soul.
Yeah, essentially he would have carried out his plan with Anakin.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it'd be very fitting seeing how it's his grandson.
Yep.
Who's obsessed with Darth Vader.
Yeah. So I think that could have been another way you could have went about it. And you don't have to dance around as much. But, at this point, the transference happened. So Kylo is the big bad guy. And then you have the redemption. But it's not really Ben's redemption. It's Rey redeeming Ben. It's Rey redeeming Ben, and then he can come back and, I don't know, die again, saving Rey. You could still have the thing at the end where he, he's like, you sacrificed yourself to save me. Here's the payback.
Yeah, we could have even done like a Revan style split where his light and dark sides completely, split from each other, and one passes into the Force and one remains, and she has to end up striking him down. But the good essence of Ben is with her, along with all the other Jedi. That could have been done as well, something like that.
I will say, though, that the scene where he does kind of come back as Ben when he arrives at Exegol, and I've said this before, but it shows the acting prowess of Adam Driver. You totally see the change. It's like they're totally two different characters now. Yes. That was cool. I did like him coming in, and now he's Ben again. He's coming to save the girl, save the day, whatever, do his thing. I like that. But I just think that there could have been something different. Because at the end of the day, the end of the movie could have been, the sort of like your maybe end of second act could have been bringing Ben back into the fold from the Emperor, and then you have to deal with General Pride and the fleet. Yeah.
But that, honestly, if you'd gone that route, you could have also honestly made that into two movies.
Well,
but that could have been what we had instead of Return of the Jedi, in a way, and it wouldn't surprise me if that was his plan.
Well, see, my thing is you just eliminate the Death Star stuff, or the Death Star stuff is where you save Ben from the Emperor's spirit and then you move on. So I don't think you have to add anything more. It's already there existing. The only thing is that you don't have the very ending with dealing with the Emperor at the end. You've already dealt with that with Kylo on maybe the wreckage of the Death Star. That's fine. And then you go to Exegol, and now your bad guy you have to deal with is Pride, and you just have a really hard space battle. And you see Rey in the cockpit of an X-Wing doing X-Wing things. Just
other than being a beacon.
A beacon of hope.
And if I'm being honest, this might piss off some people, but I wasn't a big fan of Palpatine's little cult. I didn't really see the point in that. I feel like if he already has a fleet and all those Sith troopers, he really didn't need a cult on top of that. The Sith troopers could have just taken care of him.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. He basically turned that planet, and the inhabitants built the fleet for him. So that was kind of a lot of the thing that, again, wasn't really explained. But Anyway, I'm not trying to change the movie. Like, I'm not saying we need a rewrite. I'm just saying that there are some other routes that, the amateur director in me or screenwriter might have thought about that would have still been really cool. At least in my mind, I think a lot of that, at least, because they're obviously my ideas, they're totally cool. And if you don't agree with me, then you're a bad person.
Unsubscribe. Just
Yeah,
unsubscribe.
I'm going to unsubscribe you. You don't unsubscribe from me. I unsubscribe you.
Okay. Didn't realize you were Russian.
Exactly. But yeah, I still love the movie, but I just think that there's some other routes that could have been explored, but obviously it didn't. So we got what we got.
Yeah, the movie is not perfect by any means, and we're not trying to be fanboys and say that everything is perfect. I'm perfectly fine pointing out the flaws. I just don't think that the flaws overshadow it.
Yeah, but the thing is that I was still satisfied though by this movie each time I've watched it. So yes, there are things that I could point out, and we will, but I'm still satisfied. The first couple times with Last Jedi, I wasn't entirely satisfied. And I know you weren't. You hated that movie.
Yeah, I did. The first time I watched it, I absolutely hated that movie, and I won't lie, it's grown on me a little bit as I've watched it. I've only watched it 3 times now, but
oh really? Wow.
I don't hate it anymore. And now that Rise has come out, I'm going to do a full rewatch of the entire trilogy and really see how it settles as a second movie. But this is the exact opposite for me. From day one, this movie was one of my favorites out of all 9.
You're not alone there. Yep.
I think in our ranking, I put it in the 3rd spot.
Yeah, I've already forgotten those rankings.
Something like that. I know that Empire and Return of the Jedi were my top 2, I believe. But it bumped Revenge of the Sith out of the top 3 for me.
Yeah, that's right. I remembered that, which was surprising.
Yeah, because we both know that that's my movie. If you're going newer, though.
So
yeah, this is just a very satisfying movie in every way, I think.
No doubt.
Not much I would change.
So let's see. What else? What else? Was there anything else specifically that we wanted to point out that we haven't already hashed?
I feel like we've kind of gone over this pretty well. Kind of jumped around a bit, but I guess we could talk about the humor a bit.
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
A simple comment on it. And I'm trying not to bring up past movies and compare it and be judgmental, but I appreciate the humor in Force Awakens. I didn't appreciate the humor in Last Jedi, and I feel like they definitely put more effort into their humor. It was a lot smarter in this movie, and it wasn't constant. It's a very serious movie, obviously, so there's only certain periods where humor would have been appropriate. But what they did, I did enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, I liked when
I'm more of a subtle humor person, so
sure. I liked when Poe brought back the Falcon, and obviously Rey had kind of damaged BB-8, and they were going back and forth, and some of Finn's contributions to the humor as well. Is he in a bad mood? That sort of stuff. So I think that you're right. There were a lot of people who really got down on Poe. The first little showdown in the beginning of Last Jedi between Poe and Hux. Now, I already said, and I've defended that because I totally understand why Hux would react that way and why Poe would...
Yeah, he's a child in a way.
Well, you just got to think about his upbringing, really. He had a super abusive father, and he just grew up with a bunch of, super clones. Or super
he's
super
very
babies.
Socially inept. So.
But I know a lot of people didn't really like that, and, I was fine with it. But, yeah, I think that the Rise put the humor back in a more positive light, and it felt more natural. Yeah, it didn't feel like it was like forced in there, kind of. So,
and honestly, it's probably some of the most natural humor we've had in Star Wars for decades, if we're being honest.
mm-hmm. Well,
Because there's really not much in the prequels that's as comfortable. I guess that would be the term that I would use. It's not. It doesn't make you feel a bit awkward watching it. You know.
Well, the prequels, a lot of the humor kind of came from like Obi-Wan. You know, kind of just being sarcastic. Yeah. You know, a lot of that was kind of him just playing with people. But Anakin was a lot kind of serious about everything. And then you had your Romeo and Juliet romance between him and Padme, and random awkward pear eating.
And even more awkward Jar Jar moments.
poor Ahmed Best, man. But yeah, I do. I think that they did a good job. I think that it felt natural. So.
And of course, the music was epic as always.
Oh, for sure.
Very well done.
Yeah, and they even got John Williams in this movie too. He's a bartender.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the score has always been epic. They place that stuff right where it should be. Everybody has their own kind of theme. So you really identify it.
And honestly, it probably spawned one of the most emotional, not that it was in the movie, but in the trailer for it, they show the scene with Poe running down the hallway doing his Force stuff, dodging blaster bolts. And they had a really, really good rendition of the original theme music that really brought back a lot of memories. It was very nostalgic and kind of a, this is the end kind of thing.
Right.
So from the moment that the first trailer dropped to the end credits, everything that John did was just perfect, as always.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, this is definitely a fan service movie, and I am perfectly fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was a decent end cap to the series. Like I said, I mean, there are definitely some things that just being a nerd, I might have, done differently, but I think that it put the point on.
Yeah, I think ultimately, as a Star Wars fan, we all have our exact idea of how we would do all of the movies, truthfully. So we're picky. We're hard to please. I won't lie.
No
as
doubt.
a fandom.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, I forgot to talk to you about this before we started, but the man, the myth, the legend, known as Mike Zero, all right, on YouTube. If that's any indication, they're just going to completely reshoot it all, recast, and just redo them. So it's already in the works, guys. According to
because everything he posts on always comes to fruition.
I don't want to rag on him too much. I actually admire him quite a bit because he has built a large following. I remember when it was much smaller, but it is silly to think that Disney would never reshoot this. They would never redo retcon everything that happened and put out 3 new movies. It would never happen. George Lucas is not coming back. It's done.
He's sold it. He's not buying it back. So
I would love to see George.
Be an employee.
I would love to see George come back and do a movie though, like a new movie or a series or something. Just this is George's vision, and we're just gonna let George do him and Dave Filoni just do something, do a project. I think that'd be really cool.
You know what I'd honestly like? I'd like for him to write a book.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Not everybody can write, but yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be something different for him.
I think
not necessarily his wheelhouse, but it would be cool.
I think we're all just flying high off the Empire of Dreams that we watched here recently, and just seeing
maybe a little bit,
seeing how all that panned out, and just kind of. I know that that did reignite a lot of positivity towards George. It's like, yeah, we can't give this guy any crap. He's the man. He's the man.
And I'll tell you what, I'm sure if you looked at the analytics after that came out, everyone was watching the old movies.
Yeah, maybe so.
I know it. I know I restarted after that. You know, I'm on New Hope again myself. So, I mean, it's always fun to watch how a movie is made and then rewatch it and see if you can catch all those little moments.
Right.
So, I mean, I remember the first time I learned that the Tusken Raider that attacks Luke, the little freeze frame thing they did to have him wave the staff above his head.
Where they just wiggled the film.
Yeah, back and forth. Like, oh, they did do that.
That's
that was
wild.
so cool the first time.
Just replay it again and again. Loop it. It's great. It's totally cool.
Yeah. Just like old video game loops.
That's right. Well, any last thoughts on Rise of Skywalker before we wrap up here?
No, I never want to talk about it again.
Okay, cool. Next week, we will be looking back through Rise of Skywalker and
the re-review.
And Attack of the
review
Clones.
of the review.
It'll be great. Revenge of the Clone Sith. Something dark side.
Clones were all there from the beginning.
It was Rex. He was on
It was
Endor.
all Echo's fault.
Oh, jeez. He's still alive. Oh, man. Well, now we're just getting goofy, so I think that's a good time to go ahead and start signing off. But make sure you guys check out all the social media. Find us on Facebook. Our name is the Contingency something pod plan. But yeah,
y'all know what to do. Just do it.
Yes, Twitter at TC Plan Podcast. And if you would like to share your Star Wars story or just have any questions, comments, concerns, tcplanpodcast@gmail.com is our email address. So, yeah, folks, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force